Hello everyone, that Manga Kid here to give a series review of Love, Roma. This is by Minoru Toyoda. It is an older DelRey title, so it is out of print, but it is complete in 5 volumes, and I highly recommend, if you have an opportunity to pick up this manga, that you do so. It is a delight. So, Love, Roma, the only person I've ever seen have this in their collection and speak about it was Laura, who no longer makes YouTube videos, but her channel is Manga Hoarder. And I remember a few years ago that she had randomly shown one of these volumes for some reason. I don't know if it was in a haul or if she was just talking about it generally, but it was just a throwaway thing. And I remember seeing this cover and being like, what an interesting looking cover, what interesting art. And it stuck with me. And then I was on eBay a few weeks ago, and I happened to notice that somebody was selling the entire series for, below cover price. And like I said, these are out of print. So I figured, you know what? I'm just going to go for it. Going to take a chance and see if I enjoy it. And I am so impressed with this. It is so charming and so funny and really sweet and just different. Like, it's got a brand of humor that I really enjoy, and the art style is so interesting and charming to me that I just can't believe that more people haven't heard of this or spoken about it. I think that the kind of stark kind of grays and blacks and whites and everything, particularly like in the backgrounds, like the characters have a very distinct design, but then, look at how cool and distinct that art is. And there's lots of scenes of the characters kind of walking through their town and whatnot that I just think is so stunning. Very simple and kind of blocky, but like really interesting to look at. And the entire time I was reading it, I just kept thinking, wow, like this is really interesting and distinct art. And I really love it. So our main characters are Hoshino and Negishi. So Hoshino, the story starts out, it's a romantic comedy. It's like a shonen romantic comedy. And it's about Hoshino, and then we start off with him confessing his love to Negishi, and she has no idea who he is. He's not in her class. He's seen her from a distance, decided he likes her, goes to her classroom and confesses his love to her at her desk in front of her entire class. And she's like, dude, I don't know you. And he's like, oh, yeah, no, that makes sense. And then comes back the next day and goes, I thought about it and I really like you and would like to date. I want to get to know you better. And she's like, I still have no idea who you are. And again, in front of the entire class. And I just think the charm of this series comes from Hoshino's deadpan, like, lack of social skills. Because he is so matter-of-fact, he's so direct with everything he's feeling, and it's such a breath of fresh air, where you have this kind of dorky dude who gets the girl. Like, they start dating, because she's like, you know what, let's get to know each other, that's fine. And then obviously she comes to like him, and he obviously really likes her, and we have a whole band. You can see, I love this second volume cover, with all of the characters on it, including minor characters who really only show up, once or twice. It's just so refreshing and very funny. And I just found that it was such a relaxing kind of upbeat read, because it's just about young love and navigating those feelings, and with somebody who is different from you. Negishi is quite violent. She's quite like nervous and embarrassed about things and lashes out kind of violently. And Hoshino is so matter of fact with everything he's feeling. He has zero embarrassment when it comes to talking about their relationship, and constantly, people are teasing them and whatever, and he's taking them seriously and being like, oh, that's good feedback. And Negishi's like, no, they're messing with you. Like, they're teasing you. And he's like, oh, okay, that's fine. Like, whatever. A part that made me laugh so loud, and I can't stop thinking about it. I don't remember what volume it was in. It might have been volume 2 or 3. Was Negishi asks Hoshino if he believes in ghosts. And he says, yes, of course I do. And he says, don't you? And Negishi goes, no, I've never seen one. Like, why I can't believe in something I've never seen. And Hoshino says, well, you can't see air or friendship, but that doesn't mean they don't exist. And I just, for whatever reason, found that to be so funny that he just, like, on the spot comes up with, you can't see air or friendship, but it doesn't mean they don't exist. And it just speaks to who this guy is. And I just loved it. And everything is so refreshing. Like, it goes through the whole, like, how do you go on a first date, and how do you, let somebody know that you're interested in kissing them, and how do you talk about sex in a mature way with somebody that you have been dating for a while and want to get to know, and want to get to know in that way intimately better. How do you meet your partner's family? And it goes through all of these things that you would go through in a relationship, but it's so, like, differently handled than everything else I've ever read, because his Hoshino is such a distinct character. This is money well spent. If you find this series, I highly recommend picking it up. Like I said, the art is just, it's so distinct. It's so, look at all these scenes of, like, there's a lot of, like, nighttime scenes where they're together, and I just think they look so interesting. The backgrounds and everything. I think these characters are so charming. I think their relationship is very, interesting to read about. It's funny. Their wit and their banter is funny. The friends are also very funny. Now, I will say this is a very early 2000s. I believe it's from 2003 or 2005 or something. I think it was published in 2005 in English, the first volume, but it might be from 2003 in Japan. So keep that in mind, that some of the humor is 2003 in Japan. Some of the humor is a bit dated in terms of, like, some gender role stuff, or some of the jokes about, like, weight or, whatever. There's a little bit of that. But honestly, again, in terms of, like, making lunches, of, like, oh, the girl is supposed to make lunches for the boy, there's just an arc in this that is so charming to me that it kind of turned that all on its head. And it was refreshing to see that a series that is, at this point, a couple years shy of being 20 years old, was still able to be so refreshing and not just fall into the regular tropes that shonen manga, especially at the time, and continue today to fall into. I'm just so impressed with this. Honestly and truly, I think these covers are excellent. I like that all the back covers have, like, as the preview to the volume, it has, like, a panel that represents each individual short story or chapter that's in the volume. And they're kind of short chapters with witty comedic banter, but they all, it's an overarching story about these two and their relationship. It was great. Absolutely, I recommend Love Roma. If you've read this, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. I don't know, I haven't done actually any research if Minoru Toyoda has any other English released manga or not. But I'm probably going to do that sooner rather than later and look up if there's anything else I can consume, because this was so good, and it is a shame that more people have not read this or are talking about it, because this is a hidden gem if I've ever read one. And I'm very lucky that I got these books. Like, I didn't pay, they weren't like super cheap, but they were under cover price what I paid for them, and they're in very, very good condition. So yeah, highly recommend Love Roma. If you have any other recommendations as well of really good romantic comedies, whatever demographic they're aimed at, I don't really care. I just am looking for something that is, more than just either fan service or, unsavory jokes that are gender related. I'm interested in seeing cute romance that's also funny, and this is definitely one of those series that I will certainly be reading again. But anyway, thanks for watching.